Hey everybody, I'm here at East Lawn Memorial Park in Sacramento, California. Now, I'm about ready to check out a grave that I once checked out a little over 3 years ago. It was featured as episode number 18. Today we're going to check out the grave of Dorothy Millette Bern. It's actually very muddy over here. I have no idea why. And I should also make note that it's also very cold out here right now. It is the end of March here in the year 2020. And it's supposed to rain this weekend, so I wanted to be out here to film this episode. Today we're going to check out the grave that MGM Studios paid for, which is right there. Dorothy Millette Bern, who died in 1932. She committed suicide by jumping off the Delta King in Sacramento. The day before, her husband, Paul Bern, committed suicide by blowing his brains out in his Beverly Hills home. Mr. Bern was a producer for MGM Studios. Paul Bern met Dorothy Millette in New York City. They were both actors. And through acting together, they both fell in love. It's noted that Paul said that she was the most beautiful thing he had ever laid eyes on. At some point in their marriage, Dorothy had a bit of a mental breakdown and was admitted to a mental institution. Now, eventually, Paul would find his way to Hollywood and would end up becoming a producer for MGM Studios. While working for MGM Studios, he met Jean Harlow. And he started working with her. He noticed that she had class. She was pretty, and she was a great actress. And he decided to become her manager. And through being her manager, he decided that he wanted to marry her. So he convinced her to get married to him. And he pursued MGM Studios to make a contract with Jean Harlow. Well, Jean Harlow had no idea that Paul Bern was already married to a lady by the name of Dorothy Millette. Now, by this time, Dorothy Millette is now officially out of the mental hospital and feeling so much better that she reconnects with her husband, Paul, who she finds out is in Los Angeles. Dorothy had reached out to her husband, Paul, and, I guess they were going to correspond and meet up. But he had told her to stay in San Francisco at the hotel. And I can't remember the name of the hotel off the top of my head. It's a hotel that still exists. It's still today, still around. Anyways, it was early September of 1933 when Paul Bern had basically had made a decision to blow his brains out with a gun. I forgot who it was. It was some guy who had worked for MGM Studios, went to his house to go get him, to bring him to work, and that's when he found his body upstairs in the master bedroom with a gun and blood all over the place. Not too far away, I guess, was a suicide note. Now, the suicide note doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. It refers to something that happened the night before, but not 100% sure what that's really referring to. Now you see the dock here? And this water that surrounds me is the Sacramento River. And there's Old Sacramento, which is built up on stilts because it would flood through here. The flood would be so bad that they had outbreaks of cholera, which led to so many people dying. Dorothy was on this ship, this steamboat, the Delta King. She was in the area of Walnut Grove and Cortland when it's believed that sometime around 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. she jumped off the ship here to her death. The next morning, her shoes and a jacket were found near one of the railings. It would be about a week and a half before her body was discovered by a fisherman. Her body was identified as Dorothy Millette. And due to her body being found, there was a trial that took place. And it was deemed that Paul Bern had ended up really committing suicide, as well as his common law wife, who was Dorothy. Many years later, Paul's second wife, Jean Harlow, would end up dying in her late 20s due to a sickness that she had no idea that she had.